by Team Royal Delta, a historic Breeders' Cup Ladies Classic victory. Royal Delta just the second horse ever to win back-to-back Ladies Classics, of course, by Akoa the other. We have with us first on the far left, jockey Mike Smith, who with the win has now become the all-time winningest Breeders' Cup jockey, 16 wins. Jerry Bailey will have to come out of retirement in order to do anything about it. A man set some history himself, Bill Mott, 9th Breeders' Cup win on your part, now tied for second with Shug McGahee for second all-time. That's the good news. The bad news is you have 10 more to catch D. Wayne Lucas. And Benjamin Leon, congratulations on winning this year's Breeders' Cup Ladies Classic with Royal Delta. You bought her shortly after the Breeders' Cup. She did not come cheaply, but it still looks like a very wise investment. And a decision was key here coming into this race. Your horse is so good. There was a lot of chatter about possibly running her in the Classic. Obviously, you made a great decision. Talk about the decision, and can we indeed hope to see her next year at age 5?
Yes, the decision was very much influenced by Mr. Mott, and we always thought that she would always run on the ladies, but we had the option of pre-registering her for the Classic, which we did, just in case things happen and we would change our minds. We would afford ourselves the opportunity all the way through this past Tuesday, which we did. And then we decided to go ahead, and the original decision was to have it run in the Ladies Classic, which it did. And our plan is to run her for next year, yes. And our intention is to take her to Dubai to give her one more shot with Mike Smith in order to at the World Cup, at the Dubai World Cup. So that's what we intend to do. And after that, we'll take it one day at a time, and we'll make decisions after that World Cup.
Bill, obviously, as Mr. Leon just stated, your instincts were right with Royal Delta. She not only won, but she won about as convincingly as you can. How do you keep a filly like that good for so long, to the point where she actually perhaps delivers her very best punch in the race that matters most?
Well, it seems like actually she's a filly that gets better as the year goes on. And of course, that might not play into going to Dubai, but that might contradict what we're doing there. But I think in the middle of the summer she was doing well, but I think she's when the cool weather comes, she just does good. And she's never been over raced. She was lightly raced as a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old, and she's a very sound mare, and she's the way she's bred. She's just bred to get better as she gets a little older. So I'm actually in hopes that she'll stay as good next year or even be better. So she's got to remain healthy, and we've got big plans for her. But I don't know if there's ever a filly that you could shoot for the moon with. I'd say it would probably be one like her.
And Mike, we know jockeys often go into races with a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C, but where in your thinking did going wire to wire in the Ladies Classic, what letter was that in terms of your various plans?
To be honest with you, I'm not sure they have a letter for that one. She just jumped extremely well today, and her best races are whenever you can just let her do her thing, let her get into her stride. Normally that's usually laying a bit off the pace, but she broke so well today. Johnny Lopez, the man that had me in the gate, did a great job with her. He really had her standing great, and when you have a mare with a stride that she has and as talented as she is, the best thing to do is just stay out of her way, and that's pretty much what I did. We were cruising right along, but she was doing it well within herself.
Okay, and again, folks up in the main press box can ask a question by going over to Ed Golden, who'll relay it down. But first, we're happy to take some questions in here for the Royal Delta Connections. We'll start with Lenny.
Mr. Leon, she cost a good piece of money. Please talk about your investment in her and how that's paying off for you, and I assume your long-range plans to breed her. Just talk about making that big of an investment and the gamble and risk involved, and how relieved you may be at this point.
Well, it's like any risk investment, you know. But I think this was a calculated risk. After what she did last year in the Breeders' Cup Ladies Classic, I actually had the opportunity to buy her, which I did 4 days after that. I think it was 4 days after that. And I think that long term she would prove that she might be the cheapest horse that I ever will buy. You know, the same thing happened to me with an awesome mare in the Paso Fino world, and she gave me later on her life the #1 stud worldwide. So you know, and she gave me many years of enjoyment. So Royal, I think a horse like that, of that quality, if as I've said, you know, in interviews before, if we all go out to try to buy a filly based on conformation, we buy her. If we try to buy one based on racing ability, there's no doubt after today you buy her. And if it's one for broodmare in the future based on pedigree, you buy her. And how many times are we going to see all those three come together in one single horse is virtually almost impossible. So that's what I saw when I bought her. My chief vet, Dr. Gomez, I asked him, I said, where would you draw the line that day? And he said, well, I don't know how much money you can make or you have, but you know, it's only one of her. So and that made me make my self-commitment that we would take her home. And thank God that George Stronach didn't go any further than what he did. But nevertheless, I think she's given us and the whole thoroughbred community good moments, a lot of enjoyment. And in the future, we intend to, as of right now, we intend to start breeding her in February of 2014. So, and I'm sure that she will make beautiful babies.
Bill, it's tough to repeat on any big stage, but talk about what it is to repeat on a stage like this, and was it just deja vu all over again for you?
Well, you know, I think we came with the right horse, and you know, to be able, I want to thank Mr. Leone for having the confidence in me and taking the risk to give the filly back to me after he purchased her out of the sale last year. And it was a very emotional win for me last year to win the Ladies Classic, and then of course it was very emotional to see her go on to the sale last year and not knowing what was going to happen, although you know it was exciting to see her sell. But I was for myself and my entire crew, I was really pleased to be able to get her back in the barn, because it's like such a matter of pride to have a horse of that quality, and to have, obviously, to have the quality of people that I have to surround her and to work with her, and you know, we've had a lot of confidence from her from the beginning, and to bring her back in this race, you know, is, you know, I thought she could do it again if things went well, and they did. We had a little bit of a rough trip from New York when we left, trying to beat the hurricane out of there. They had to load in the middle of the night, and she got a little excited backing into her stall on the plane, and she scraped herself up, and that has caused me a little worry this week. But I can tell you, I feel a whole lot better right now. I can tell you, it's a real sigh of relief and a big joy to watch her run, and to have the opportunity to run her again next year. And obviously, we're gonna take on some big boys if we go back to Dubai. But you know, I think we're all up for the challenge, and whatever happens. She's done her job for us so far, and she's always been a good representative and a good servant for us.
In 2012, you won the Ladies Classic, and before you took her to Dubai, you gave her a race at Gulfstream. Next year, is the route going to be different? Are you planning to give her a run at the Maidan before the big race?
I would probably do that. I mean, you know, if things fell into place, I think giving her a race is probably the right thing to get her back on her toes, because when we get her back to Florida, she'll have some turnout time, and obviously they let down, and you know, hopefully she'll put some weight on and have some relaxation and have some time off from racing. And I think, you know, when you bring those horses back after they've actually had turnout time, I think that, you know, it's probably good to get a race in them just to get them back in the game. Not that you have to expect them to win, And I think that's what happened last year. She finished second last year in her comeback race, and that really wasn't a surprise to me. I thought that it was possible that she could get beat on that day. But really, when we went to Dubai, she was right. She was primed. We got her to Dubai in good order. She traveled well, and she loved the track. She just unfortunately had a bad trip and had some bad racing luck. And so the way we went into it last year, I would say, was actually okay. Now, would she have to have her prep race at Gulfstream? Not necessarily. We could go somewhere else. We could go back to Tampa for that matter. But, as long as she gets a start and, gets things cranking again and gets ready.
Bill, now that you've won the Ladies Classic again, do you allow yourself to think about winning the Classic tomorrow and having another sweep?
Well, we've actually got more work to do, and we've got 3 good chances in there tomorrow, and we're certainly not counting our chickens before they hatch, but I've got 3 horses that are going into it physically, the way they're training, they're doing very well, and I think any one of the 3 has a chance. So I know it's a deep race, and there's good horses and horses that have proven themselves well over this racetrack. But they're all doing good, and we can't stop now. We got to, you always got to push forward and look to tomorrow. So.
Mike, the track looked like it was playing good to front runners today and also on the inside. I know you said you didn't have a plan, but did that enter into your thoughts at all as far as getting her out to the lead maybe today a little bit more than you might ordinarily?
Definitely, without a doubt. As soon as she jumped well, and I was able to clear him as easy as I did, that was definitely in my mind. I mean, the track's been really favoring speed. Although if they go quick enough, they'll pay for it a bit, and she was able to go pretty quick and keep on running, which is extremely impressive.
She was going very quick.
She does things so easy. It feels a whole lot easier than what the numbers come up to be. But she'll cruise around there, and you think you're going to 48, 47, but she throws up a 45. That's just her stride. She's got an enormous stride.
Mike, does it feel good to get that personal milestone out of the way Friday?
Yeah. It certainly does. We have a big day tomorrow. I ride 5 tomorrow, and I've got some very good chances tomorrow, so I'm excited. It's great to win this race, and it just kind of gives you that confidence going into tomorrow, so we'll see what happens.
Bill, the race in Saratoga, I know, you keep getting asked about it, but was there anything, was it just not her best? I know you were given a lot of weight that day, but was she not at her best that day, or does it just happen that sometimes they just get beat?
Well, part of that could have been a little bit of a learning experience. Maybe, Mike learned something after the race, I think, and we did give the winner 10 pounds. We only got beat a half a length. I think if, Mike had a do-over, after the race, maybe he would have, done things just slightly differently during the course of the race. Maybe, as you remember, It's Tricky stumbled out of the gate, and the speed didn't develop in the race. And I think it was a case where we had probably planned on sitting just off the pace, and one of the pace horses didn't show up, and consequently the pace was a little slower and a little softer, and maybe, if I think Mike felt like if he would have attacked the speed a little earlier, maybe it would have turned out differently. But the good thing was that we learn and we move on, and not only myself, Mike, and everybody. I mean, you think sometimes that you learn everything about a horse after you've run them 2 or 3 times, and that's not true. You keep learning and learning and learning, until they're retired. You're always constantly trying to tweak things just a little bit and make adjustments, but without making a complete turnaround. But so I think she's, we got her there today.
First of all, Mike, 16 wins is just an extraordinary achievement, and with all those all that young talent out there, and there's a lot of it, you keep showing up at the right time. So congratulations. And Bill, the question is for you. It seems that nowadays a lot of trainers or connections are afraid to lose. And they campaign in a more crafty or more defensive way of not wanting to lose. You've gone to Dubai. You've run on the tracks that maybe wouldn't be the perfect track for Royal Delta. You've given weight. You don't seem afraid to lose. Has that always been your philosophy?
Well, I think it has been, and I mean, I believe you've got to run these horses. We've got them to run them and enjoy them. And if you're afraid to get beat, you know, you're going to have an awful frustrating time in this business. And obviously, we do get frustrated when we lose, but you cannot be afraid to. I see, you know, people that, you know, only want to run when they think they have to win. And I don't think that's the case. I think, you know, when you're running your young horses, eventually you've just got to get them started. And as I said before, you know, you think you learn something, you think you know them after you run them 1 or 2 times. No, you don't. You keep learning. You run them, and then you make adjustments after that, whether it's distance, surface, you know, track condition, that sort of thing, how to train them, what you want to do with them. And, you know, I think there was a time, you know, maybe that's kept my win percentage down just a little bit. Maybe instead of shooting 25%, I shoot 19% or 18% or whatever. And I think, you know, some guys are afraid to see their winning percentage go down below 20%, or they think they're going bad. But, you know, the fact is you've got to give some of these lesser horses a chance as well. You can't always have a champion like Royal Delta, and you've got to give them all of a chance to develop. And sometimes that's going to take a few races where they're not going to be winning races. I hope that answered the question.
Mike, I want to ask you to compare Royal Delta to Zenyatta, but is she as big a horse as Zenyatta? Is she physically as big?
She's close to it. How tall is she, Bill?
I've never put a stick on her. I'm not sure,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
she's got to be
she's got
16 and change.
She's got that kind of stride. I mean, she's got a tremendous stride, and she does it with ease. Like I said, I told Bill I felt like I was going in 48 out there. I said, how fast did I go? He said, I think he went in 45, and I looked at the clock. I was like, wow. I mean, that's just how easy she does things. Everything just moves so fluidly in the right direction. You know, she has no wasted action. She actually waits for competition a bit down the lane. She'll wait a little bit, but once they get to her, she locks on them, and then it seems like she could just go around again. She won't let them pass. We kind of learned that at Delaware that day.
You feel incredibly blessed to have ridden both these horses?
Extremely blessed. I remember when Bill had approached me and said that Mr. Leon was thinking about making a change, and would I be interested if I could give him a commitment. I about jumped out of my boots when he said that, to be honest with you. I didn't even check. I just said definitely, and I was just so glad that Bill gave me that opportunity, and Mr. Leon, and I went back and called my agent. I said, look, I don't know if we have any obligations, but if we do, get ready to to let him down, because I think we just picked up Royal Delta, and he couldn't believe it himself. So we feel extremely blessed, and thank you, Mr. Leon, Bill, and Miss Leon for the opportunity, and this is just one of the greatest days of my life.
Well, it was a race that many considered the most anticipated of all the 15 races this Breeders' Cup weekend, and what we got was a performance that was utterly convincing and left no question about who's the queen in American racing this year. Congratulations, Mike Smith, Bill Mott, and Benjamin Leon. Just a memorable win by Royal Delta. Congratulations to you all.